So we finally have a rich man on Love is Blind looking for love, allegedly. And of course, he's a typical selfish, boring one with no personality whose sob story is, I'm afraid that girls only want me for my money, even though it's the only thing I'm offering. And what's ironic about this whole wealth thing is that if he truly didn't want someone who wanted him for his money, was truly like, oh my God, I don't want to marry someone who just wants me for my money, he could have not mentioned it. He could have been very vague about his occupation. He could have said that he works in the creative industries, he works in the arts. He could have been as vague as he wanted to be. But he wants to fit in, he wants to be popular, he wants to impress people. So what does he impress people with? His inheritance, his healthy upbringing, his lucrative career, his lucrative job. And he doesn't just bring it up once. He just brings it up all the time. He's letting people wear his Rolex. That's all we see from this guy. And yet he's wondering why people only want him for his money. Like I said, we didn't see any personality, but we did see questionable behavior. He was very manipulative and controlling, and we first saw that with the language he uses around his money. You know, the economy is tough out here. You know, a lot of the girls are trying to get onto the sprinkle wave. Well, when you're dealing with a rich man, you have to pay close attention to how he behaves with his money. Because there's no point trying to do sprinkle with a stingy rich man. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say Leo was stingy. It seems like he is willing to share some of his wealth. But it seems like he has several conditions. And it seems like there is a cap on this. So, for instance, when he talks about what this money has done for him, he says that he's well off. He's never had to worry about money. He's extremely blessed. He's blessed. He's so glad that he's been blessed with this money. But now when it comes to his wife, he doesn't want to bless his wife with this wealth. He doesn't want to completely share his wealth. He doesn't want to have to make sure that his wife doesn't have to worry about money, that his wife is well off. If the wife wants access, she now has to prove that she's not this gold digger. She has to promise that if he lost all of his money, which is never going to happen, that she would stick with him. She's got to do this whole performative number. On top of that, he says that he wouldn't mind paying for most things, but he would expect some financial contributions so that he feels like they're both quote unquote invested. He does not need his wife's money. He doesn't need any of these women's money. And he doesn't need it to feel necessarily better about himself, but it is a form of control. Because he basically has an abundance of money. He knows that you don't, but yet he still wants to take a piece of your much smaller pile, even though he can easily cover it. Like, it's not going to be anything for him. He still wants to take a piece from your very smaller pile so he can have that sense of control. That's really the investment that he's talking about, a sense of control. And time again, people are going to be like, oh, well, he's rich, he's entitled to, you know, want a contribution. What is she doing? Blah, 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 blah. But if you won the lottery tomorrow, let's say you won £100 million tomorrow. I bet a lot of you would say everybody's getting taken care of. Your mum is being taken care of. Your siblings are being taken care of. They're not going to have to worry about money ever again. But I feel like it's interesting how a lot of people will now fall off the wagon now when it comes to your spouse. It comes to the person you're meant to be wanting to spend the rest of your life with, that you're supposedly in love with, the person that you want as the parents of your children. Suddenly they have to follow all of these conditions. They can't be taken care of. When you marry your spouse, they become your family. So if you were to win the lottery and taking care of your blood relatives is a no-brainer, but you're question marking the person you've married into your family, do you not feel like there's a bit of cognitive dissonance there? If you have the means and you love the person that you're with, you will take care of them, no questions asked. When you have the means, but it comes with all of these terms and conditions, to me, it becomes questionable. Because if I won the lottery tomorrow, £100,000, the people I love and care about, Everyone's being taken care of, no questions asked. So for me, if a man is not willing to do that for me, I do not want them. And your red flag is selfish. And selfishness has just become so normalized in relationships. Like, I've had so many arguments with people who are saying, oh my God, who does she think she is, not accepting the bare minimum? Who does she think she is, not accepting the worst prenup known to man? Another form of control, when he's talking to Hannah, he says, obviously, as my wife, you will have my lifestyle. You know, my family would want you to live the same lifestyle as me. AKA, you have to keep up with the appearances with the rich. But then he caveats that with, but obviously, I'm going to have to put a prenup in place. So he likes to dangle carrots. He says, I'm going to give you this nice life, but I'm going to put a prenup. So he dangles this carrot. Hold on, prenup, just to let you know that there's terms and conditions to this. I'm not doing this out of the kindness of my heart. And there, the psychology, the manipulation. I'm going to give you this nice life, but just know, you got to act correct because there's a prenup. I'm letting you know that I can give you this nice life, but I can take it away from you. Because he didn't say there's a prenup and there's a nice little package in there for you. It's giving, you're being left with nothing. And I feel like that's why he wanted to pick Hannah over Brittany, because he knows that Brittany is smart and Hannah, she's young, she's easier to manipulate. Or at least he thought, because Hannah definitely, called him out eventually. But, you know, the way that he was dogging on her, the way that he was trying to emotionally manipulate her into marrying him, that's the same tactics he uses in real life. So sprinkle ladies who are going out there chasing the money, I wish you luck, but always listen closely to how these rich men talk about money, especially if you're trying to be their wife or anything. Like, if you're just dating to get little bits here and there, okay, do your thing. But if you're actually trying to get into a serious relationship with these people, think about you need to listen closely to how they talk about money, because some of them be rich and stingy. You might as well be with an average wage man. You'll probably get more. On top of that, he just has bad vibes, like no emotion. Like, some people were joking, basically saying that they think that he offed his family. And you know what? I could buy that, because it's a bit suspicious, you know. It's definitely given the storyline. Like, everybody was dropping of cancer one by one. I'm not gonna lie, that was very wild. Well, what do you guys think? Serial killer, or do you think people are doing too much? I don't know. Like, imagine going on the internet and seeing that people are speculating that you offed your whole family to get an early inheritance. It would make a good movie. I guess I already touched on, the whole thing with Hannah, how he was trying to manipulate her and was being very aggressive with that. And very emotionally abusive. Like, that was emotionally abusive, that whole thing that he was doing with Hannah. And it just concerns me that Netflix never intervened. Like, yes, it's good drama to watch, but this was basically him emotionally abusing Hannah. And they just allowed him to stay on the show. On top of that, he did show a lot of narcissistic traits. He would say one thing to Hannah and then say the same thing to Brittany, and then be like, well, he would treat them both bad, but then say, I have to do it because of this experiment, like, you being hurt by this, I understand, but it's unreasonable that you are not letting me do my method. Him trying to convince Hannah to put in a good word for him to Brittany was wild. The switch up from Hannah being his number one to now suddenly Brittany being his number one when Hannah dumped him was also wild.